Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Always good to see a good crowd here. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on January 27th, 2026, and ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Bray?
Present. I would ask Commissioner Smith to do the invocation, and then we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we thank you for your grace and goodness. May your face continually shine upon us so that your ways may be known in our communities. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I apologize. I'm been fighting a cold, so I'm a little hoarse. So hopefully that's not too scratchy a voice. First, do we have a presentation? We have our annual audit presentation from David Hampton at Kemper CPA Group. So David, come on up. We've been anxiously awaiting for the audit presentation.
Make it real long.
How long do you want it?
Yeah.
I mean, I can drag this out 3 hours if you all want to. We can actually get into the financial statements, and I don't really.
Might be the last year to do the audit if you do that.
I can be out here in about 20 seconds if you need me.
So,
So, all right. Okay, well, I hope y'all have all had a chance to look over your financial statements for tonight. My name's David Hampton. I'm a partner with Kemper CPA Group. Unfortunately, Lauren Delaney, who is an upcoming partner in our firm, she's not with us. She actually managed the job and performed pretty much everything on it, and I just kind of sat back in the review process. But I was hoping to introduce her, but she's still snowed in. But we'll try to get her over here one evening so y'all can meet her. Auditor's had a chance, and Stephanie's had a chance to work with her for several years. I think they're pretty pleased with her, and so. But anyway, first off, I want to thank you all again for the opportunity of being your all's auditors. We want to thank the staff of the city for all their attention and assistance, cooperations during the audit, and we certainly want to thank you all for the opportunity. Especially want to hand out to Audra and Stephanie, their staff. They did a wonderful job again this year. Of course, John was here, and he's always done a wonderful job as well. But, you know, now we got rid of him. Now we got some good blood in now. We can move forward. No. So I'll miss John, but I'm certainly happy to work with Audra. I've been working with her for several years and extremely enjoyed it. But they really work hard for us to get it done. So this is your annual comprehensive financial report. It consists of an introductory section, the financial statements, which include our auditor's report, your basic financial statements, the management discussion and analysis required, and other supplemental schedules, statistical section, and then a single audit section. So that's kind of an overview of the report. On page 11, or page 16 of the PDF, and I didn't do a presentation. I didn't know if you had a PDF or not. So anyway, this is our independent auditor's report on page 11. The second paragraph discloses our opinion, and as noted, we've determined these statements are fairly stated in all material respect. This is known as an unmodified or clean opinion, no gap departures. In the fifth paragraph, and the first paragraph of the next page, we discuss the city's and our responsibilities as your auditors. These financial statements are the responsibility of the city. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on these statements and notes. With that in mind, additionally, as noted in paragraph 4, on page 12, we applied limited procedures to the required management discussion and analysis, the pension and other post-employee supplemental information on pages 14 through 29 and 103 through 108. Because this information is not audit, we don't express an opinion on this. And then as noted in the 5th paragraph, we did audit procedures on supplementary information included on pages 109 through 129, the schedule of expenditures of federal awards on pages 150, 151, and determined that these statements and schedules are fairly presented in all material respect. The 2nd paragraph of page 13, we do not audit the introductory section or this fiscal section, so accordingly we don't express an opinion on that information as well. And so that concludes our report on your financial statements. Because you are a governmental entity, you are required additional reports under the governmental auditing standards. Back on pages 152 and 153 toward the back of your ACFRT, this report will disclose our findings, if any, regarding internal controls over financial reporting and compliance with certain laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements in accordance with governmental auditing standards. In the paragraph, we note our responsibility is to consider the city's internal controls over financial reporting and compliance, not for the purpose of expressing an opinion, but for the purpose of planning and performing our audit, so accordingly we do not express an opinion. With that in mind, as noted in paragraph 4, we did not identify any deficiencies that as material weaknesses that we are required to report under governmental auditing standards. In addition, in paragraph 5, as noted as obtaining reasonable assurance, the city's financial statements are free of material misstatements. We perform tests of compliance with certain laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements, and we noted no instances of noncompliance or other matters that we are required to report under governmental auditing standards. So that's the required report under governmental auditing standards. You are also required to have a report if you receive federal awards of more than $750,000. This is required under the U.S. Office of Management, known as the Uniform Guidance Compliance Supplement. This report discloses our findings, if any, regarding the city's compliance that could have a direct or material effect on the provisions of your city's major federal awards or grant agreements. As noted in the 2nd paragraph, in our opinion, the city has complied with all material respect with these types of compliances that could have a direct or material effect on each of your major federal awards. As noted in paragraph 5, compliance with federal statutes, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements is the responsibility of management. In addition, the city is responsible for effective internal controls over compliance. As noted in paragraph 6, our responsibility is to consider the city's compliance for the purpose of planning and performing our audit to obtain reasonable assurance that the city has complied with the type of compliances which could have a direct and material effect on your financial statements and federal awards. And as noted, we noted no instances of noncompliance or other matters required to be reported under the uniform guidance. That concludes our reports on your all's financial statements. At this time, I'm open for any questions.
Any questions from commissioners? I want to just make clear that I want to make light of the fact that we're going through this audit because it's very important. The city's very proud, of our financial standing and the way that we handle our finances, and it's really one of the things I think that sets us apart. So we appreciate you being here.
Well, we certainly appreciate being here and serving your all's organization. You've got an excellent group of staff. They do an excellent job for you, and they take it quite serious, what they're supposed to be doing and doing it the right way. And we certainly appreciate that. It makes our job a whole lot easier. And they're doing it the right way. So,
Great. Thank you.
again, thank you all for this opportunity.
Thank you for being here.
feel free to reach out to me if you ever had any questions, or to Laura, and we're always available
Yeah,
for any
we'll
questions.
look forward to meeting her at another meeting sometime.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, second on the agenda, before we bring Main Street up here, the city in last year made a big bet on Main Street, spinning that organization out of the city into an independent 501c3, and we've seen some great progress, and I want to welcome David here to give us an update. I see we got Blaine and Carly here too. Aren't you going to let them talk?
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's the David Blaine Carly Show.
It's a dance.
Welcome.
Great. Yeah, thanks for letting us come talk. Yeah, it was 7 months ago, when we were first framing up the idea of turning this into a 501c3. So, we've had a great 6 months. And as you all know, I mean, there's a buzz downtown right now, and we'll take some of the credit, but it's also, the big credit is people know that we are investing in downtown. They know y'all's commitment to the downtown market, and a lot of things are happening. So we want to kind of report on some of that and what we've sort of seen and what we've been involved in, and then also where we're going over the next 6 months to finish up this year, in terms of our first year of existence. We got some of our board members here. So, I mean, we've got a great board. It's, we've got 8 people who are all downtown committed individuals. So, they've all got a big stake in making downtown successful. Blake Calhoun and, of course, Carol were our original board members who we helped set this thing up initially in sort of designing how it would work. Carrie Hopper-Signa is here today. Joe is here. And Deb Domke and Alexis Mars as well are on our board. And so we're very proud of what we're being able to pull together there. And, we are trying to make a lot of big decisions to help make things work. So it's great to have a board that's so incited in terms of understanding what's happening downtown, and gives us some great advice. And then our management team, Carly Dick is our assistant manager. Blaine McDonald is our executive director. They are a great team. Both of them come from experience in working in the city. They brought a lot of energy downtown that you guys have seen, and they're a lot of fun to work with. They've reduced my age about 15 years, and just trying to keep up with them. And so it's been a lot of fun. Blaine, why don't you come on up, and we'll talk a little bit about what is Main Street, what are some of the functions of Main Street, and then we've got a few numbers. I used to have an old boss that says, if you've got good numbers, talk about your numbers, and if you don't have good numbers, talk about something else. And so we've got some good numbers, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of that as well.
Yeah, a lot of numbers, actually. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for having both Carly and I tonight. This has been such a good transition for both of us, and we're so excited that you all are investing in us as not only individuals, but also as, a Main Street organization, because like David said, we've really seen the boom. I'm going to kind of do the nuts and bolts. One thing about Main Street, we operate on the Main Street realm of how everything works. So that model has 4 different pillars, those that you see on the screen, but the important part about Paducah Main Street is our goal is economic development. That's what we want to see, because when people are developing in downtown Paducah, that's when things start to happen. And so that 4-pillar approach is economic vitality, promotion, design, and organization. And I think it all works like a big wheel. So in order to achieve all of those, you have to have the promotion side of things. So that's the events. That's how you get feet on the ground in downtown Paducah. That's how people begin to fall in love with our area that we all love so much. And then it's also, the merchant advocacy. What do our merchants need? How can we help them? How can we, advocate for them, not only on social media, but to you all? What are their direct needs, and how can we help them? And so those events make the economic vitality part come to life, because that's how things begin to happen. So we had them on the streets, they fall in love with downtown. How can we help them put their business here? How can we help them start a business here? And then we come to the design. So when you have the feet on the ground, that's when people fall in love with the area, whether that be the gazebo, whether that be Market House, whether that just be the streets and the beautiful buildings that have their own stories to tell. The beautification side of things, the beautiful flowers in the spring. It's all of those pieces working together. And then we have the organization. How do we fundraise for our organization? How do we keep the ball moving all the time? How do we get more feet on the ground with volunteers? And they tell all their friends about how much fun they had volunteering at Paducah Main Street. And then it only continues to grow because more people begin to know about it. And then we have our accreditation. How do we keep that accreditation growing and we become, one of those highly recognized organizations in the Kentucky Main Street and the national Main Street realm? So that's my favorite story. Downtown at a glance. Here are those hard numbers. We know everybody loves statistics and hard numbers, so here we go. So in our Main Street footprint, there are 189 buildings. 127 of those are businesses in operation, but you'll see the breakdown again. That doesn't include the 22 restaurants and bars. That doesn't include the 13 museums, galleries, and theaters. Now, there's a little good and there's a little bit of bad. There are 21 vacant buildings. Those are not for sale, but of those 21, 11 of those are either under construction or they've been recently sold. So, that number drops down a little bit. So really only 10 are truly vacant properties in our downtown area. And we know that we're all working together to kind of fix that problem and get the ball rolling. And then there are 3 vacant buildings that are for sale in our downtown. So, you drive by and you see the vacant properties. Well, there's a lot of things happening in downtown. We're just not there just yet. So we're very excited about that. And our downtown has a rate of 87% building occupancy. So that's something that we're very proud of, because some of you will remember when that number was 50%. So that's, again, something that we're really proud of. And we can't take full credit for it because a lot of things were happening before us. But, we're able to use our platform to get the word out about those projects so that more projects will continue to happen in our area. So then our 6-month growth, like I said, we really hit the ground running in July, and we're so proud of the success that was already happening and then the success that's happened in those 6 months. So there are 26 development projects in our downtown area. That's both complete and in progress in the last 6 months, and I think that's a number to be truly proud of. $14.7 million in reinvestments happened in Q3 and Q4 of last year. That number's 3 times higher than it was in 2024. So that's a big jump, and I mean, it's a big jump. And in Q3 and Q4, 9 buildings were sold. So that really hits all the developmental side of downtown. And then we go into the downtown events. That's kind of the fun topic. There are 11 holiday events in downtown Paducah. You guys will remember the big Christmas tree came through and made its way to the Capitol. If you saw the finished product, it was beautiful. And there were a lot of people in downtown that night, so I think that gave us a lot of excitement to keep doing things like that, even if it's just a quick little 3-hour event in downtown. And then we had monthly merchant meetings, which we still have. We had our January 1. We had a lot of people there, a lot of people excited for 2026 in our merchant community. We had our upstairs downtown showcase, so that was actually, you got the opportunity to go into a lot of the downtown properties to see what residential living there looks like, maybe even to spark your own mind to put your own property in downtown to become a resident, because it's a great walking area. We walk everywhere. And then we had our pork stock fundraiser, which kicked off Barbecue on the River, another event that everybody was excited for because we had a big rain plan, and luckily we threw it all together and it still happened. But again, it shows the support we have from our merchants, because we were able to say, we have 500 people that we have to put in downtown. Can you help us? And they did, and they showed up and showed out, and that was something that we're very proud of, because it shows that we have a great community, and I don't think I have to tell anyone in this room that. And then we had 6 cocktail trails, 2 music festivals. So there was a lot happening in 6 months. And I would say that I pat my team on our backs, because holy cow, this was not something that was done by one person. And then the other side, so with both the development and the events happening in downtown Paducah, just the snap of a photo or a quick video, we throw it on social media and you see those million numbers. Those two combined put us right at that 2.5 million engagements, followers, all tied into one number. So it's something that people are noticing what's happening in downtown Paducah, or they hear, what is Paducah Main Street? So they search us. So just that quick interaction makes that big number there, and more people again are talking about it and wanting to know what's going on in downtown Paducah. One thing we began doing at the end of the year was the weekend roundup. So one thing about social media is, you can put out all kinds of stuff happening in downtown, but if people don't know about it, they're not going to come. So, but just by making that quick 1.5-minute video, so many people knew what was going on in downtown Paducah, so they were able to come, and that's something that we're going to continue to do. Yeah, so just pictures and videos and getting the word out there has been something that we've seen that's just been very successful, and it's very quick and easy. So.
And, in terms of goals, step here. When we first set up, to be honest with you, we didn't know exactly what goals we were supposed to set up, and what we could achieve. But, we said we wanted 10 new businesses this year. We've already got 10 new businesses. And I think, we're on a glide path to at least have 20 new businesses by the end of June. That'll be new downtown. Apartments, condos take a little longer. Obviously, usually that's a 2-year kind of construction process, but we're making progress. We'll hit that number. We need some more developments going on down there. That's got to be a priority, continue to recruit more developers, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the events, we've already almost hit our 25, but you're going to hear in a second about what some of the plans are for the summer. And so, we'll be over 40 events. We needed to raise money. You guys asked in our contract, you should raise at least $50,000 of your first year budget. So we've done that now. And, I think based on where we are, we're going to be over 100,000 before the, before the end of June. So we're making really good progress there. We've started a formal campaign that Carly and Blaine are actually recruiting businesses, and we're happy to announce that we now have our presenting sponsor lined up, which is F&B Bank, and so they're going to be our lead sponsor for the whole summer music series and for this year, and so we're very excited about them. They actually underwrite a lot of investments downtown, and so it's a very natural relationship there. But we're also then going to be rolling out some of the other big investors. A lot of companies are still in the process of trying to make decisions, but hopefully by the end of February we'll have the total list completed, and we'll be able to start communicating who those organizations are that are making those big investments. Volunteer hours, we're going to need a lot more. We're going to need a lot more even than the 4,000 that we have. But, we're doing very, very well in terms of getting that set. So far, it's mainly been around our committees and getting people who have volunteered to work on all the different committees that Blaine was talking about earlier. That, we have committees for economic development and promotions and design and organization. And so now we're going to need a lot of volunteers for all the summer activities. And so that's going to be real key. I'm going to hit the button here. And then, so this is where we're going next 6 months. This is our primary focus activities. Business recruitment, we want to continue to recruit businesses. Businesses show up 2 ways. One is they just show up, and that's the best kind, Literally the second day we were open, where we had just rented the office.
No chairs.
Yeah, we didn't have any furniture.
No
we
chairs.
had an individual walked in and said, I kind of like to move downtown Paducah and relocate to this area. And, we walked.
David and I literally were standing just like this, and we looked at each other, we were like, so we started walking.
Say, this really works, yeah.
Let's come back tomorrow.
Yeah, and we walked her around town, showed her different properties, and now she's in business downtown. And so we've done 45 outreaches to other organizations that are not in Paducah to try to entice them to come to Paducah. We've done 4 site visits. We've got 2 companies that we are in negotiations with, and we've got 3 others that are shortlisted, and we're still trying to get more and more. And that comes into play with the commission, because we'd love to engage you guys. Once we get somebody who's very interested to help close them on why they'd want to invest and come to Paducah. And so that activity is hopping, and that's moving along very nicely. And then we really, at this meeting, we're announcing the Fridays After 5 music festivals. And Blaine, why don't you talk a little bit about what that is?
So when Carly and I took this job, so many people were coming up to us and saying, please bring back downtown after dinner. Please bring back downtown after dark. And Carly and I would just kind of look at each other like, okay, neither one of us were here when all of that was happening. So we reached out to our friends and our business partners in downtown, and we were like, what did you like about this? What did you not like about this? And so for our knowledge, we now know that we have taken downtown after dinner and really elevated it. So it's going to be 10 straight weeks of music from June the 5th to August the 7th. And it's going to be 30 different bands in those 10 weeks. So each week, Fridays After 5, we gave it the name so that no one was confused when it was, and no one was confused what time it was. So while it's the name doesn't really tie into downtown Paducah, it ties in everything else. So yeah, 3 stages per week. We're going to be able to shut off the first and second blocks of Broadway and kind of bring in Wilson Stage and add 2 more stage aspects to the festival. And we're super excited because, there's the opportunity there for some vendors. Our downtown merchants have the opportunity to put their own, movable storefront into the first and second blocks. And maybe it becomes an innovation hub of sorts that we can grow small businesses right there, and they can become able to put in a shop in downtown their own, because that's where they got started. And yeah, we're working with different bands and different partners, both local, some Nashville, some young, some old. So we're super excited.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a big deal. We do have some really good names. We've probably got 24 something of the 30 groups. So if you know somebody else that you'd like to be playing, one of the stages will be youth. So we'll have youth performances every Friday night as well. So that's going to be exciting. That's where we're going to need a lot of the volunteers. One of our volunteer strategies is to recruit organizations, charities, to help provide some of the staff, and then they would get some of the proceeds from some of this as well. Almost all this is being funded through those corporate sponsors that are bringing money. We'll have all the stages. We'll have naming rights on the different stages, VIP seating in the different stages. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's really going to rock downtown all summer long here. We just hope it doesn't rain every Friday night.
Don't even put it in existence.
I shouldn't even said that.
Shouldn't even said
that. Other things we're doing, the day jobs. We've got to get our accreditation right, and so we're working on that. Blaine and Carly are going to the national convention. They've done the state event. Carly just finished the accreditation report for the state and federal, so we're very optimistic, that we'll get back in good standing from that perspective. Our board needs to go through official training, and we've got that already lined up, and we'll be doing that with our staff and volunteers as well. Each of our committees that I mentioned earlier, they all have agendas of both operational issues to address, but also strategic things about what are things we ought to try to do in Paducah that we hadn't thought about in the past. And I expect some of these things we'd be coming back to you guys and talk about, could we do this kind of event? Could we make this kind of investment downtown? So that's what I hope you'll be hearing about here in the next few months, is some of the results coming out of those committee meetings. And then, what Blaine Carley's done on this promotion stuff is just magnificent. We need to start doing a newsletter too, though, just so everybody knows what's going on, which is a little more nuts and bolts of things we've been accomplished, things we got going on next month. So you're all going to start receiving a monthly newsletter, and we'll kind of figure out how to publicize that to a broader audience as well. But communication is obviously so important on this. And then, what we've also learned is it takes lots of months to plan all these things. So we've got to already start thinking about what are we going to do at Christmas, what are we going to do with the fall activities, and kind of get all that figured out. Do I have another slide? Okay, so we shot through that fast, but let me just stop there. And you all have any questions or concerns or things you want us to deal with?
When we released you guys to start your 501c3, I was a little leery of doing that simply because I guess it had never been done before. But even before your report tonight, I was convinced that this was indeed a good move for our downtown and for our city. And I was just thinking, if I had anything to bring downtown, I would bring it simply because of the inviting and calming personality and demeanor of Miss McDonald. I have enjoyed seeing her on Facebook, with social media. It has been exciting just to watch. And so with you, we'll put you in there. With you and Blaine and Carly and the staff, I think this has been a really plus, or is a plus for us in downtown.
I absolutely 100% on what Commissioner Henderson said, and I really like the idea. Years ago, a lot of these events were just to get people downtown, which is great, but I really like the focus on not just getting people downtown, but also supporting the merchants, because just an entertainment venue for people to come down there without supporting the downtown and then supporting downtown is really good, because that's what makes things work downtown, is the businesses and attracting more businesses. So kudos to you all. I'm really pleased. I think y'all are doing a great job.
I love everything you're doing, and I want to be you when I grow up. I think you've all the spirit, the passion,
Yeah.
everything that you do.
Absolutely.
I love it all. Thank you.
Well, I concur with all that, and I made a few notes. First of all, I want to thank the board members for serving. I'm reminded every day, I appoint to 31, 32 boards, and I'm reminded every day the importance of the strength of a board. And so you guys have done a great job of selecting board members, but I just want you to know how much we appreciate your service. One of the things, social media has been crazy, 2.24 million engagements. We serve 8 to 10 counties in western Kentucky plus southern Illinois, about West Tennessee, and, getting people to come to our downtown, that social media really, it really helps. Jobs in our community drive downtown, because all this that we're working on downtown, we've got to have support. We've got to have a reason. We've got to have people that want to come downtown. And, this community is bursting or getting ready to burst with projects, in particular nuclear. So I do hope that you're talking with some of our new nuclear partners, about getting involved in downtown, because that's going to help them recruit, as they are looking for new employees. So the newsletter, we've got our own newsletter, or we like to refer to it as Pamgrams, but we have 10,000 people on it. So I don't know how we can, work with you on that. We can't manage your newsletter, but maybe we can somehow work together to give you access to, some of our folks. I think that would make a big difference, somehow. And then I just want to make a comment. My wife and I, Angie and I, went to a musical performance last week. It was awesome. I'm just blown away by the musical talent, that we have in our community. A lot of people working on that. So I hope that we can find, it sounds like you got 6 slots opening, so I've got one I could suggest. I saw
Send it my
last
way.
But You guys are doing a great job, and we're so appreciative of the partnership, and it just shows the value of leadership and choosing the right folks, getting the right people on the bus. So,
Well, we appreciate that. We're honored to do this. And, you know, when you love your job, it's a lot easier. And, you know, what I see in Blaine and Carly particularly, they love their job. And,
that's pretty clear.
Yeah, that's very clear. And so we're having a lot of fun. And, you know, y'all support is everything. And so, you know, we'll continue to push the envelope a little bit and in terms of what we can do and what we will try to do. And, you know, we value y'all's opinions and direction and leadership as we keep going on this thing.
Okay.
Commissioner Smith and I would be grateful and delighted to be a part of the Friday After Five.
Yeah, absolutely. Performance.
And Commissioner Wilson, we'd all like to be a part of that.
We could do an insult thing or a roast. We could roast each other.
Hey, we need comedians. That's the one thing we haven't tapped into yet. So.
We need to separate these two. It's a problem, so.
I would have to say Carly laughed at the social media comment because if you all could see the blooper reel in my camera roll. Yes, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you,
it.
guys.
Hey, Mayor, were you referring to the Bloom Initiative? When you
That's
saw
part
that?
of it. You know, that's one
That
of the
was
things.
incredible this
Yeah.
last week.
I was out of town for that.
Oh,
But
that was really good too, so.
there's just a lot of things going on with music, so. Okay, City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, none this evening.
Okay, we've got a new employee introduction, or two employee introductions, and I'd ask Chief Kyle to come up and make those introductions.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Clerk. This evening, we're excited to, while one of them's been with us for a couple months, we've been late getting him on the agenda. We're really excited to introduce these two guys to you because they're kind of rounding out some vacant positions that we've had in our fire prevention division for a long time, and we're getting some experience here as well, and just excited about what they're bringing to the team. The first is Deputy Building Inspector Scott Herron. He started in August of last year. He's got 35 years in construction of residential and commercial experience, and most recently spent 8 years as a third-party inspector working on projects for Toyota. He moved to Paducah to be close to his family. So, Scott Herron.
Welcome, Scott.
Secondly, we have Chris Likens, who came to us in October of last year. He's from Mayfield and retired from Mayfield Fire Department after 20 years of experience. He's also worked in construction while he was at the fire department on his off days, because firemen have jobs on their off days, in case y'all hadn't heard that. And he ran a small business on his own, so we're excited to have him. We originally hired him to be our fourth code enforcement inspector, but Steve Oots threw a kick in that by retiring last fall as well, so we're excited to have Chris on board.
Welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Welcome.
I'll just make a couple of remarks. I mean, the fire prevention department, there's been a lot of focus on the fire prevention and code enforcement. And you guys are coming into a team that's, the commissioners have had a lot of focus working to, make improvements. And really, we've got a rental ordinance that we're considering right now, which is we're going to require a lot of finesse as we get out there once we get it. And so you guys are going to be very important to a lot of our initiatives. So we look forward to working with you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Okay, so we'll move to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted with one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion for these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item would be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. So the city clerk will read the items unless anybody has an item they'd like removed. So City Clerk?
Approve minutes for the January 13, 2026 Board of Commissioners meeting. Receive and file documents. Appointment of LaToya Burton Richardson to the Human Rights Commission to replace Robert Hernandez, who has resigned. This term shall expire July 25, 2026. Reappointment of Mark Workman to the Electric Plant Board. Said term shall expire February 6, 2030. Reappointment of Marcus Turnley to the Board of Ethics. Said term shall expire February 10, 2029. Personnel actions, a municipal order authorizing the finance director to make payment to the McCracken County PVA in the amount of $58,265.50 for the GIS Consortium's portion of the aerial imagery of McCracken County. Municipal order authorizing the Public Works Department to release a request for bids for the City Hall administration renovation. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute an application for a Kentucky Fire Commission personal protective equipment grant in the amount of $7,000, accepting any grant funds awarded by the Kentucky Fire Commission, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order declaring the real property located at 3110 New Holt Road, Paducah, Kentucky, to be surplus property, authorizing the real estate purchase agreement for the sale of said property in consideration of $1, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement, deed, and all documents related to same. A municipal order approving and authorizing the execution of an agreement to renew the employment agreement with the city manager, Darren Jordan. A municipal order amending the fiscal year 2026 position and pay schedule for the full-time employees of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. A municipal order amending the fiscal year 2026 job grade schedule for the full-time employees of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. A municipal order authorizing the application and acceptance of a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency community-wide brownfield assessment grant in the amount of $500,000 to continue with assessments and redevelopment planning with emphasis on city-owned properties and acquisitions of new properties. A municipal order authorizing and directing the city manager to release a request for proposals for the fiscal year 2026 cybersecurity assessment. A municipal order declaring certain police vehicles to be surplus property and approving the transfer of surplus police vehicles to the Paducah Independent Schools in consideration of $37,000.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So we have three municipal orders tonight. The first one is our capital improvement plan. I know that Audra and her team and the city manager have been working on this. This is very important to the city as we look into the future to see where we need to make our investments. And so Audra, welcome.
Thank you very much. I too really like my job. And so I'm really excited to present this to you tonight because I think this is going to be a really great step in terms of strengthening our long-term financial planning. Like you said, looking more out into the future and being prepared for things that are going to come our way. So I'm going to start by explaining tonight what a capital improvement plan is. It is a long-range planning tool that outlines the city's major capital projects, equipment replacements, and infrastructure investments over the next 5 years, and it includes their estimated cost and proposed funding sources. Also, it's very important to explain what it is not. So adopting this plan tonight does not establish or authorize any appropriations. All projects are subject to separate approval through the budget process that we're getting ready to roll into. So the question may be, why are we doing this capital plan then? If it doesn't set appropriations, why are we doing it? Well, there's several reasons listed up here, but I choose to describe this as a roadmap. It organizes and prioritizes our needs in a structured manner from now until 5 years down the road. Thus the roadmap. In doing that, it keeps a database of projects so that nothing falls through the cracks. And it keeps our budgets more predictable and we have fewer emergency costs. And we can also look ahead toward funding strategies, having all of our needs laid out. And so all of this speaks to the importance of long-term planning. And evidence of this long-term planning can also be advantageous the next time we get a bond rating, potentially increasing our rating, which would lead to lower interest rates on future bonds. So this is the timeline of how this project came together. Knowing that it would require a lot of time and effort, we started educating the directors about this during this past spring during the fiscal 26 budget process. So we laid out the timeline with them, kind of got them thinking about it, and then projects were submitted through September using our capital project software. We then began a reviewing and ranking process with the city manager's office, followed by an assignment of potential funding sources to each project. So this plan contains 38 projects, and the total cost for all years is $104.2 million. I want to point out a few things that this plan does not include, things that you might be looking for, but they're not in here, and that's any enterprise funds such as solid waste. Those are all handled in accounting like a separate business. So any capital improvements for solid waste are within that fund. We also don't include replacement vehicles in this plan because we have our fleet management plan that we budget for separately. And also paving is not included. That goes through our MAP fund. We do have some road projects but those are like new construction or mass improvement. It's not paving. So that has its own fund it's done through. So right here is a listing of all projects by type. And as you can see by looking at this, the majority in terms of project cost are within facility improvement, replacements, and stormwater improvements. This next chart displays all of the projects by priority, with imperative being the projects that must be done, kind of working its way down to the bottom ranking, which is desirable, which means we would like to do this, but it doesn't have to be completed during the time frame of this plan. So tonight, I thought I would highlight in my presentation the projects that were ranked as imperative. I've got 2 slides here that show these projects. There's a variety of project types. I noticed as I was studying this, how it fell out in our ranking process, it includes a variety of project types. There's facility improvement replacement, parks and trails, stormwater improvements, land improvements. I was interested to see how after we did this, it was actually quite a variety of items. So you can see that is the total of the imperative. The next slide identifies the various funding sources that were assigned to each project. And again, the assignment of these potential funding sources is just a starting point. That is, when we get to actually budgeting for these projects, that will be what we look at first. It does not mean that it's permanently identified with that source. That's just where we're going to start. So as we move in to the budget process over the next few months, the available funding sources will be more defined, and we'll be able to identify which of these projects we will be able to fund for fiscal year 2027. And that leads me to my final slide, which is next steps. So once this plan is adopted, we will be utilizing it in the 2027 budget process. And once final budget decisions are made, we will amend this plan to reflect what actually happened. So we will have a clean plan through 2027 and use that as the starting point for our new plan, which will be 28 through 32 that will start in September of next year. So it'll be an annual plan of adoption and then amended after budget.
Rolling 5 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and so next year should go a lot more smoothly with more ease because we'll have something to start with. It'll be adjusting, moving. There'll be some new things and there'll be some circumstances that have changed, but we'll have something to start with. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions, commissioners?
I think by looking at it, so you're saying it's the roadmap, it's where we would want to be if we had all funding sources that we wanted. It's nothing that's committing us to any particular project. These are just the needs that have been identified for the city moving forward.
Correct. It is a tool in the budget process. And so it gives us that starting point to say, hey, we are being aware that we've got some major items that are going to have to be considered in the near future, in the next 5 years. And we want to be thoughtful about it, begin having those conversations, and so they just don't show up on year 5 and say, oops, we should have been planning for this, 4 years ago.
And we can remove and/or take off
Right.
anytime.
Yeah, in each budget process, that's what Audra was talking about. As we go through the budget process, that's formalized. Whatever comes out of the budget, then it puts back in the plan, and then we come back and it starts over again.
And as you all know, I retired out of the private sector and big company and, that ran large distribution centers and had to make, big acquisitions of equipment. And this is something that's used in the private sector to keep your eye on the ball on the big, the big amounts of money that you're going to have to spend. And that rolled up from the bottom. And that's exactly what this has done. We've gone to the directors. We said, where is our needs? What are our most critical needs? So this is not, just the finance department
Oh, no.
saying this is what we need. This is all of our managers with their input. So I think it's very important that we do it. It'll change every year, and I just really appreciate all the time and effort you put into it.
Thank you. Yeah, I love the continuity it provides, of changes that occur over the years, with the commission, with staff. It just
Right.
keeps a living document so nothing falls through the cracks, and it just, keeps everything in perspective of what all we have going on.
Very good.
Okay,
Anything
thank
else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Audra.
You ready for me to read the
Yes,
motion?
please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Adopting the Fiscal Year 2027 through 2031 Capital Improvement Plan."
So moved.
Second?
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, the next item is an amount of money that the Riverport Authority, has, the Paducah McCracken County Riverport Authority has come to us, and they're in the pretty intense planning stages for the future. And one of the things they're planning for is a completely new riverport out at the Ohio River location of the triple rail site. And so in planning for that, what we're calling Riverport West, they have some debt that they want to retire, and they've come to the city and county, and they've asked us for the total amount is $289,000, whatever 2 times this number is, 145, 314, 24, and they've gone to the city and county and asked for a grant in that amount. And Commissioner Wilson and I met with them. Commissioner Wilson, would you like to make a comment about it?
Sure. Well, I've met with them a couple of times about it. I'm also working with them very closely on the advocacy side for Riverport West. And I think getting this cleared off of their debt list would be very beneficial to them. It is legacy debt from years and years ago. The city has used money from the Riverport before, many years ago, that they had for some projects that we were promoting at the time, before any of us were on the commission. But I do think they are a really strong partner. They have a lot of potential for development. They're out of space here at the Riverport downtown. They need new expansion. It is also near the Department of Energy site, which also gives it some opportunity to work with reindustrialization of the Department of Energy site. It can work with the triple rail site, but it is also a new Riverport facility for us. And they have outgrown where they are and need more space.
So you want to talk about the grant? We've gotten a $3.5 million grant already for the design of the new Riverport West, but I think we have in our crosshairs, a very large federal grant that we're working on.
The state did give them, I believe, $3.5 million to do all the work for design, and they are almost ready. I mean, right now, the federal government is looking for projects that are build-ready like this, that are building up the infrastructure within the country. This would definitely be one of those. We're asking the state for matching money from the state government to match federal grants. So they are applying for 3 different grants from the Department of Transportation. It's a little unusual, but it's very common now to be applying for multiple grants through one department. All of that has been cleared. They will be having meetings with the Department of Transportation. Obviously, our local legislators are helping lead the effort to get the federal matching money that would do that. So this really just helps get them one step closer to having this closed out down here so that they can pursue new funding for a new facility without being hampered with old debt.
Question.
Yeah.
Are they looking at moving their entire operations out?
No,
Or they're
they would
still
still keep this
maintaining-
one here, so this will still be very much of a working river port for them. As I said, they have outer room. There are some facilities in southern Illinois that have, Tam International, for example, is one that's already talked to them about using it. They use them now, they would be able to use that one. I do think that there will be some
Yeah.
projects coming in at Triple Rail and at the DOE site that will also be using it.
Excellent.
Questions? Anything, Commissioner Enders?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, I'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Finance Director to Make Payment to the Paducah McCracken County Riverport Authority in an Amount of $145,312.24.
So moved.
Second?
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And the third municipal order for this evening, I'm going to let our city manager do his best to talk about the Duke and Duchess Foundation Initiative.
You want the clerk to read it first, or you want me to talk first?
That'd be great.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing a Matching Grant for the Duke and Duchess Foundation of Paducah, Kentucky in an amount of $25,000.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor and Commissioners, as you are well aware, the historic nature of the Duke and Duchess Awards for the city, handing those out for recognition of service and other things. And so there's been a foundation outlined and being brought together to expand upon that Duke and Duchess to actually do some more charitable work in the community and leverage private dollars to continue to do that. And so the request has come before us. They have raised already right at $25,000 to help match that amount for the city to increase their foundational bank so they can start looking at those areas in the community where they can make some positive improvement.
So I think you all are aware of the work that we've been doing to establish the foundation. We have a couple of ladies here tonight that could answer any questions. They're on the advisory board, soon to become a full-blown foundation. So ladies, would you like to come up and just answer any questions and tell us the work you've been doing?
Yeah, we've got some very brief prepared remarks. First of all, I'd like to introduce Jennifer McIntosh Lasher, and I'm Rayla Trigg, and we are representing the board of the Duke and Duchess Foundation this evening. So I'll start. Jennifer will wrap it up, and then we'll try to answer your questions. So prepared remarks are always nice. Glasses are even better. The Duke and Duchess Foundation of Paducah is an emerging charitable organization established to build upon a long-standing honorary tradition. Its mission is to bring together honorees from across the country and channel their civic pride into meaningful support for Paducah, McCracken County, and the broader Western Kentucky region. Modeled after several other well-known statewide philanthropic groups such as the Kentucky Colonels, the foundation is structured to award grants which will enhance quality of life and strengthen local nonprofits once it becomes fully funded and fully operational. A little bit in the way of the history, a call for organizational volunteers was issued back in March of 2025. It was followed very quickly by the working group's first meeting in May. Since that time, the group has drafted and adopted bylaws and articles of incorporation. We have developed a financial plan, and we have begun receiving donations through an account established with the Community Foundation of West Kentucky. Confirmation of the foundation's 501c3 status was received just last week.
Additional efforts are underway to gather updated information for contacts of past honorees as preparations are beginning for a public launch event scheduled later this year. Overall, the foundation seeks to transform a historic local tradition into a sustainable philanthropic resource, one that supports community-based initiatives, offers Duke and Duchess honorees a meaningful way to remain engaged, and to provide significant support for our region. Ultimately, the foundation aims to elevate the stature of the City of Paducah by strengthening the legacy of tradition born within a caring and forward-looking community.
Very nice.
Any questions?
Questions? Okay, I'm going to recuse myself because I've been involved in this from the beginning, so how do I do that?
Step out.
Step back through there? Okay.
Oh, I come over there?
Well, you can sit there, but you just need to,
Okay.
as soon as he.
Are there any questions?
Oh, sounds like a good project.
Okay. Then I think we've already had a motion and second, so City Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm sorry to tell you that we just didn't think we could do it. But the motion passed, and thank you for your great work. I think it's a great idea. We all really do, and we've seen the great work that's been done in other organizations like this. So thank you, Mayor Bray. I know this was your brainchild.
Thank you,
Done a lot of work
Commissioner.
on it.
And thank you, Rayla and Jennifer. Thank you for being here. Great job.
Yes, thanks to the commission. We appreciate it very much.
Have they sent out anything to past Dukes and Duchesses yet?
Not yet.
Okay,
It's being planned. We do have a membership and marketing committee already.
okay.
Okay, we have one ordinance to adopt tonight, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 70, Article 3 of the Code of Ordinances related to the Brooks Stadium Commission. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends the composition of the Brooks Stadium Commission to allow the Board of Commissioners to appoint one or more ex officio non-voting members to the Brooks Stadium Commission to serve in an advisory role. Said members shall serve at the pleasure of the mayor and Board of Commissioners and shall not receive compensation. Further, the City Commission appoints Eddie Jones to replace Dr. Frank Doc Heidig, whose term has expired. Said appointment shall be for a term of January 27, 2026 to December 5, 2029. Further, the mayor, with the approval of the City Commission, hereby appoints Dr. Frank Doc Heidig as an ex officio non-voting member of the Brooks Stadium Commission to serve in an advisory role.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussions?
I just make a comment. I think this is a great, I'm on the Brooks Stadium Commission, and I think it's good because we're basically adding another board member, and we're keeping Doc Heidig's expertise and experience, so
Well, we're honoring the
Good move.
legacy of Doc Heidig as well,
absolutely.
who's meant so much to this community. Call roll, please.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. We have two ordinances to introduce, and the first one is a street name change, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance renaming Downs Drive as Steve Doolittle Drive. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the renaming of the public street currently known as Downs Drive to Steve Doolittle Drive. The Board of Commissioners finds that the renaming is appropriate, reasonable, and in the public interest in recognition of the long-standing public service of Stephen D. Doolittle. The board further directs that all applicable city, county, state, utility mapping, and emergency service records be updated to reflect the new street name. This action is taken at the formal request of McCracken County Fiscal Court, owner of the sole address affected by the name change.
So moved.
Second.
So so this initiative obviously and clearly got started upon the sudden and tragic death of Steve Doolittle, who has served both the city and retired from the city, and then as most recently as deputy judge executive at the county. And his leadership has left a footprint all over this community. And I just want to thank Commissioner Bill Bartleman, who's very passionate about getting this started, and garnered support on the part of the fiscal court, and talked with me and others about it. And And so the fiscal court did pass a recommendation. From the city's standpoint, the city is hesitant to change street names because it often affects a lot of people on the street with change addresses. In this case, it didn't change any addresses except that of the sports park. And so it's a very short, almost you'd say 2-block street from where you enter in by the Honda dealership into the main opening of the sports park. And so that's the origin of all of this, and I'll open it up to any questions or discussion.
Okay.
We all good? No? Then we have one other ordinance, and I'll ask the city clerk to read that one as well.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a surety agreement with Chapman Property Development LLC, accepting a subdivision surety bond in an amount of $150,000, accepting the street acceptance plat for Melody Lane, and accepting the dedication of public right-of-way and public improvements. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the mayor to execute a surety agreement with Chapman Property Development LLC, accept a $150,000 surety bond, and accepts the street acceptance plat for Melody Lane. The ordinance further accepts the dedication of public right-of-way and public improvements with city maintenance responsibilities to begin only after the required public improvements are completed, inspected, and formally accepted.
So moved.
Second.
Greg, you want to tell us about this?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. Like the City Clerk explained, this is a street improvement off of Nolan Drive over by Lone Oak Road. This would be the area behind McDonald's over on Lone Oak. Give everybody an idea. There's an apartment complex. Melody Hills has been under construction, and this is the street extension that would allow access to that development. About roughly a 300-foot long street extension.
So what are we actually voting on?
The acceptance of the dedication of the right-of-way already exists is a little bit unique situation. Typically, the right-of-way would be dedicated at this time, but this right-of-way already exists. This is establishing the street itself. So you're voting on accepting the public improvements, the street, the drainage structures,
Okay.
the surety agreement to see this to completion.
What's being built there? Is it,
Apartments.
okay.
Yep. There's 8 structures, I think 4 units apiece, so about 32 units.
Okay, good.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, need a lot more, don't we?
All right, so thank you, and you can just stay up here because
Okay.
you're on deck. Okay, the next item, the last item on the agenda before the executive session is a discussion about the build grant, the riverfront build grant, which is going great guns, and so we're all anxious to hear how things are going.
There are cranes in the river. We just going to say it? There are
All right, we're
4
done. We're
cranes
done.
in the river. It's amazing.
You got to stop saying that.
No, I love it. It's amazing.
Yes, you should all have a handout as well to help with the slideshow. Here. So I'm just gonna basically show some pictures that kind of just walk through what the current status of the project is.
Did you say crane?
So cranes,
So,
progress.
as a reminder, so this is the excursion pier that's currently under construction. You can see the cranes in the water and the piling being set and the concrete panels all being set. This would be your deck of your pier and just kind of the process of what's going on downtown.
So those are placed on top of the grade, and then it's not like poured concrete?
So these were, show a couple pictures.
Yeah,
Hold
okay.
on. So these were precast panels off-site that were then delivered, and they set them on the pier, on the piling, and then basically when everything's in place, there will be some final concrete tie-ins that kind of help put everything together. But yeah, these were all constructed off-site.
Yeah, and we went and allowed to do that because it helped speed up the process. So during the time that normally they would not be in the water and having to wait to be able to cure, they could go ahead and prefab them and bring them on site.
Good.
Just some additional pictures of what the panels in place. And
Wow.
the picture in the lower right, let's see. Oh, maybe. The Port of Paducah letters, these are the base that those letters sit on, to give you an idea of what that will look like at the grand staircase opening.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yes, the Christmas tree opening. So now, some of these pictures here, the one on the upper left is over by the Convention Center and looking at the 4th Street opening there by the Holiday Inn and looking towards the main entrance to the Convention Center and the improvements to the trail along there. And then the other two are the Compass Rose area and the elevated terrace section, the Commons area, the Harrison Street opening.
Tell us about the compass, or you said compass?
Compass Rose.
Yeah.
It's the centerpiece of that area of the project. When you walk through Harrison Street opening and then over towards the transient boat dock area, it is, let's see if I have another picture, you'll see, the upper left there, the inn for the Compass Rose, the north arrow is the centerpiece of that design, where you will be able to drive through, but also host events, have bollards that are set up during normal times to help direct traffic, but then can be removed to allow various events to take place in that area, kind of be the showcase of the Commons area.
So if you were looking overhead once it's complete, you'd be looking down onto what actually would be a compass, and that's what you would visualize. And that's the inlay with the brick and everything that'll be that. It'll be a major focal point in that area, not only when you're driving through there, but as Greg says, when we close off the area for special events, that'll be a nice focal point.
Can you go back one slide? So where the quilt murals are?
Yep.
You know, Mayor Kaler is, I believe, the current chair of the Quilt Murals Organization. And I know that they have planned many more walls that they've already been paid for. They're working with the artists to get those installed. Is there any funding in the build grant that would allow for like some park benches and tables or anything in that area?
Nothing that accounts for that at this time. No, nothing for that nature.
It may be something that the city may want to consider at some time then, kind of to make that more into a park area, especially as they develop that along that wall.
Okay.
Well, especially, that is the bike, isn't that the bike path right there? That's part of the trail.
Yes.
So, yeah, that would make sense. How much in the future is?
I think they have a couple this year, and then they have funding for 4 or 5 more walls. of the
There
murals.
are other, like shelters at other locations on the project. I think there's even a picture.
Yeah, I saw one.
This next one here, this is actually the bus shelter by the Quilt Museum in the lower left.
Okay.
And show you on this next slide, how well you can see the upper right-hand picture. There are the shelters that are along the riverfront on the existing trail that match those that are on other locations of the trail in the city.
I'm sure we can design something in the future and budget for it and one
Yeah.
future.
I think
the
that's a
parks,
great
yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Make it kind of into a park there
Yeah.
by the murals. And that bottom left was the amphitheater?
Yes, sorry. I'll jump back.
Can
Yes.
you go into more detail about what that's going to involve? I see you've got a beautiful picture, so yes, thank
There
you.
you go. Says it better than I could.
Yeah.
Here's your Compass Rose that we're talking about, and this is the elevated amphitheater that would allow you to look out.
Show it to the audience.
Vanna?
But I'm just going to say, since we still have Blaine and Carly and David here, that amphitheater would be a great place for some events.
Would solve a lot of problems this year. And then these are your Port of Paducah lights
Okay.
that will be there at the Christmas tree opening.
Right. Pretty cool.
Excited.
And the lower right-hand picture there shows the improvements at the convention center opening that were made for the traffic improvement.
Yeah.
There.
Much improved.
These pictures are showing between Harrison Street and Executive Boulevard openings, just another way of looking at what the commons area is shaping up to be. The trails, the green space, the trees, the shelters along the trail, closer to the riverfront, just what that area is going to look like.
But probably asking a question you don't know the answer to. What type of trees are these? Are these like I got you, didn't I?
Yeah. I can find out for you.
No, that's fine.
I know that arborist Jonathan Perkins was very heavily involved when the
That's
species
great,
was selected.
yeah, so it's right kind of tree that'll occasionally tolerate a flood, maybe.
Yes.
Before you get into the money part, can we talk about one more thing?
Yep.
You know where I'm going to go with this. When you drive through the flood wall entrance, the two concrete,
Monoliths.
Got-
the buildings, I
something
just
for
call
you
them the
later on
buildings.
that.
So, I mean, I just don't
he's
think
got
we
something here
can
in
leave,
just a-
you're going to get to that?
I'm gonna get to
All right,
that.
perfect.
Oh, okay.
We
Lets me have the
anticipated, so
fun
yes.
part. It shows all the pretty stuff. We just wanted to kind of give an overview of where we are with our budget, with our project. So this is where we have spent the money. This is where our money is budgeted. You'll see that most of it is construction, the $21 million. The 2.4 is our design and engineering, and then we have had a small amount of what we call non-grant expenses. So this is stuff that wasn't covered under the grant. The biggest portion of that was for our environmental. I'm sure you all will remember the environmental that went on and on and on. So that's where we're spending our money. That's where the budget breaks out. This is how much we've spent. We're at about 15 million that's been spent. We've got 8.5 to go. We're closing in on that. We'll have all of it. I promise you, we'll spend it all.
Thanks.
So we wanted, any questions on what we've already gone over before we get to Mr. Wilson's? Thankfully,
I was gonna go back to that.
We were prepped for this one.
You know I was going to ask that.
We did.
On
So
the-
this picture's very hard, and
Hang on, she's got it back on the money
Well,
side.
on
on the
on the
money?
spending part.
Just a second.
So on the money that we're getting, that would come back to us from the TIF district, that can be used for infrastructure.
Oh, we missed this one. Okay.
Can that be
So-
used?
So it has to, because it is under the guidelines, money that we get back in on the TIF has to go in towards debt repayment first. And so those dollars come in, will have to go first towards debt repayment
So debt repayment
on our bond money.
okay,
Yes.
so it is being
Some of it, some of
helped
that,
to
yeah.
pay for that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
That was my
I'm
question.
sorry,
Is
we
it-
did miss that slide.
Yeah,
Which I
is
went-
it being,
Let me go back to that, because we went through a calculation, you and I did, when we were talking about that. So, the tip money in any one year could be more than the bond payment for that year. And so that money could then be used for something else, is the way I.
Sir, yes, and so let's just say that if we had bond payment in a given year of $1, and our TIF monies that came in were $1, 100% of that has to go towards our bond payment, because it's in the district. If our TIF dollars that came in were $1.50, that additional 50 cents could go into infrastructure inside the TIF district. It wouldn't have to go straight to the bond.
we could use it for other.
Use it for the
But
benches.
the dollars first in, because it is in a TIF district.
Oh, no, that's
Have to
good.
go to pay off debt.
But it does help pay off the bond.
Yep.
Okay, anything else before we move on?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
Back to you, Mel.
All right. So I looked and I searched to find those
monoliths in use, and this was the best thing I could find. This is the 1957 flood, I believe. This is your Water Street, Jefferson Street opening. So we're driving in through what we call Greenway Trail 5. There's your gauge station. Here's your monoliths. They were part of a coal chute operation that came off of the
I'll be there.
River. I did find a picture of this when they were actually building the wall. I mean, they built the wall right up under that thing. Anybody has a lot of time and you want to see pictures of the wall being built, they're actually very interesting. That's what those are. Because, everybody's like, what are those things? They were just support pillars for a tramway over the wall into the river for coal.
So can they just be torn down?
Yes.
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can. So once again, we went to our BFW, Jonathan Perkins. I said, Jonathan, take them off. So that's what it would look like. This is an actual picture that he used, and he just made the columns go away. So they could go away. We could paint them solid white. I mean, they're already white. We could repaint them and take those trees that are growing out of them out. Or I said, show me something pretty.
Well, at one time we had some potential artwork, some
Well,
potential ideas for that.
We did have some potential ideas, and they were a little over the top. So I said, show me something. We could paint them. Obviously quilts. We could put pictures on them. We could do something rivery. I think that's all. That's what I've got.
There was one, I believe, I remember from being on the Riverfront Authority, that had like, welcome to Paducah, Port of Paducah, something that were letters that were running across from one to the other. I know they're not even.
Right, yes, they are not even.
I've driven it enough lately to
Right.
check all of that, but.
We did have some initial concepts of having something going horizontally across here. I don't know how strong they are. I mean, they're obviously strong enough to hold up, but I don't know what's inside of them. That would require
That's a
some.
question I have is, they're so big, they would imply they're pretty robust. What are they made, what's the center of them made out of? Is it?
I really
I
don't
mean, why-
know.
it's
All I know
incredible they're
is
so
trees grow out
large.
of the top of them.
Yeah,
So at least there's some, they may
maybe
be
some soil in the middle.
in the top, but
But
I'm
it's-
sure most of it.
No, they're not storage. Someone said, oh, it's storage for part of the.
No, it
Flood
is not
wall.
a vault for the flood wall. You have no use for them right now. We have no.
Was there an estimate on just taking them down?
No.
Let us ponder this a little longer.
Yeah.
We pondered it for 100 years or 50 years, so let us
But
ponder it.
the pressure is on because I just don't see us wanting to roll out this big, beautiful build project with those two things just sitting there still, nothing done to them. Either take them down or let's figure out something to do to them. And then, of course, we have to find the funds to do that with, right?
Correct.
It's not included. It's part of the build grant.
And if we want to take them down, now's the time to do it while that's, if we just knew someone that had some sort of portable, robust ladder that was based on a truck that could drive over there to see how they're made would be kind of neat.
Now, Public Works may know exactly how they're structured because they have gotten the trees out of the top of them before. So.
They probably do know
Chris
it.
Jarbert, and his folks may know exactly what they're made out of. But I would say they're pretty robust, like you said.
So what's your estimate of when the project will be finished for us to say? I'd have a ribbon cutting or whatever of some sort. Some May, June, July, September.
August, September.
Probably somewhere in the July to September range is what I would expect.
So-
But we are on target, and there is a
Yes.
deadline.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I don't want it
Yes.
to
Oh,
make
yeah.
it sound like that
Oh,
we're.
no,
Yeah,
no.
but we are on target.
No,
But if we were going to do something, I mean, that's going to take quite a bit of work, planning, ideas. I mean, you know,
We have to do something in the next couple of months.
Gotta get
I mean,
on
We
it.
have to make a decision.
well, yeah, because it needs to be done when the project is finished. I don't think we should
Right.
just leave those there without them being
No,
finished.
and I've had that conversation with staff already. Yep.
So,
So
do
next
you
time,
have a recommendation?
my recommendation, quickest probably, is to take them down. And then that gives you a clean slate for something in the future if you want to put something back to tie into with. You give you a few years to look at how it's all being used and everything, and then if you wanted to go back with something else there, you could, but,
They don't have any special meaning, correct?
no. They were
Yeah.
just support, they were support for a shoot.
They have historical significance in that there was a time long ago where our river was, at that part, was used for industry. You know, and so, you know, Paducah's changed so much, obviously, in the last 100 years, and, but I don't know that anybody would know that.
I was gonna say, how did you know that?
Without putting a plaque. Well, because I saw the pictures.
I know, but before that, you didn't, so
Right,
nobody
well,
would
right.
really know that. A
Yeah,
lot of
I-
the buildings, that could be said about a lot of things. I just don't know that they have any, I don't want to make a decision, rush into a decision, but at the same time, I don't think we should ponder it for long. Drive by there, look at them, visualize it. Do we have to keep them for any reason?
Because if you put artwork, you're spending money on them anyway. And in some ways, it's like we're doing this because this is ugly and in the way, so why not remove them? We'll have to get some pricing.
Yeah, and team will work together and bring back a formal recommendation. But Mayor, to your point, you put me on the spot tonight, that would be my recommendation, is to remove them, and it gives you a clean slate. But it also, to your point, Commissioner, it is one less thing to keep managing and upkeep and all of that, in the future. And they're gonna, I think, you've got this $22 million project that you're doing. To your point, you need to do something with it so it doesn't detract from that. So
So why don't you get us an estimate
What?
on taking them out?
we'll do that.
No problem.
Great job. We're all excited about the project, and it's really that, along with everything that's going on with Main Street. It's got some great things going on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, City Manager, any comments?
Just two real quick, we want to let the public know that the Community Southside Chili Supper that was scheduled for this week on Thursday has been moved to Thursday, February the 5th at 5:30 p.m. It will remain at the W.C. Young Center, which is located at 505 South 8th Street. Doors will open at 5 p.m., and for more information about that, you can contact our planning office. But because of the weather, it has been postponed till February the 5th.
Is there a program with that? Were you
Yes.
thinking? Okay, what time will that be? 5:30, okay.
And speaking about the weather, our crews, we're on top of it, staying on top of it. I know that the commission received at least one positive email from citizens giving appreciation, and just wanted to let our team know publicly how much we do appreciate those that have to go out in the bad weather to get us where our facilities can get open. We get travel around in the community. It was, I think they were on top of it, put in a lot of hours, and they continue to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I texted back and forth with Chris. He's got a text from him late this afternoon, and he's really pleased with the way things are looking. The sun helped a lot
Yeah.
today.
Will they start back picking up trash tomorrow? That's the question I got at the beginning.
Right.
When the trash.
That's the ultimate question.
Yeah.
Okay, comments? Any comments?
I have a comment. And, we've got all these fiber companies putting in fiber, and it just seems like they just don't. Thank you. It just seems like they're under no rush to get it done. They've got a lot of yards torn up. They've got a lot of pieces, infrastructure hanging off the poles. It looks bad, and it just seems like there's no, is there any way when they do this type work, do they have any kind of rules that they have to follow to get this work done X amount of time, or can they just leave it
Greg, you
torn
want
up
to?
indefinitely? And
Well,
I'm
Greg's-
catching you all cold, so
Yeah, no, that's fine. I
you may
mean,
not know
Greg,
the
yeah,
answer to that.
Our engineering department is the one that manages those places, so Greg could speak to it.
Yeah, so we do oversee the work that these fiber companies do with underground installation in the right of way. They have to get permits with our office. We oversee what the process looks like. As far as a time frame, no, there's no hard set, you must have the project done in so many days. But as far as any disturbance and restoration efforts, I mean, those are monitored and kept in check to make sure that things don't get out of hand. Some of the projects that are ongoing in the community, though, fall outside of that process. You know, any type of aerial work, for example, that's kind of outside of our scope. We still reach out to them and help manage the project, but there's no, it's not tied to their permit.
Is there some way where we can, probably these other people are grandfathered in, is there some way where we could specify if they're doing work, it's got to be done within a certain time window? Or some of this stuff's been going on, I think, a year.
There's ways we can look at that and explore better ways to kind of help keep the projects moving in a way that's going to be more beneficial to
I
everybody.
think something we would,
You know,
should consider next time someone comes.
I think they gave us a map, didn't they, of where they were going to be in certain neighborhoods. It's just that, I mean, I'm not defending them, but I mean, it's a huge project, them laying
A lot of them.
fiber all over the
A
city.
lot of them have several thousands of feet scattered throughout,
Yeah.
all across the city. Like I said, it's just a large footprint and trying to keep track of everybody with that.
Greg, maybe it'd be a good idea to get an update from whoever's laying fiber as to where they are in the project, and maybe let the commission know.
Yeah.
Just so we have an idea of, just give us a snapshot of
Yeah.
where the projects are.
Maybe communicate concern, so.
I guess it is considered, in a way, a lot of capital investment coming into our community
It
from
is.
those companies
No, it is.
that are wanting to serve our citizens.
But if I've got one of those in my front yard,
I know.
I'm not too happy about it.
I will say they did come into our neighborhood, tore up a lot of yards, but they did replace them and fix them.
And that's the question I had,
Couldn't
if that they were responsible for putting yards back together. I've received calls where yards are messed up.
People are upset.
But they
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Right, in my neighborhood, they
In
did.
your
Right.
instance.
Yes,
If you've
yes,
got a
that is a
yard-
requirement that
Yeah,
they
if you've
have
got
to
a yard
restore.
messed up, let us know, and we'll get after them.
And I took pictures and sent them to,
Yeah,
just want to make sure, because I know the others are going to ask the same kinds of questions.
Sure. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Commissioner Smith. Okay, that's it. We do have an executive session tonight. We do not anticipate taking action afterwards, and I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners go into closed session for a discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics: a specific proposal by a business entity where public discussion of the subject matter would jeopardize the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of the business entity as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1G.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.